Warning, this show contains adult language, so viewer and listener discretion is advised. Welcome to another edition of Up and In It. I'm your host, Adrian Babashoff, and if you're new here, welcome as well. And if you're wondering what the show is about, it's entirely dedicated to improving quality of life for both people and planet through liberation and independence, moving you from surviving to thriving and living life on your own terms. And that's exactly what today is about. This is episode 258. It's how to escape the great struggle. I took a lot of time trying to think about how do I categorize today's show? Where am I coming from? And at first I came up with 2021 economic survival. I just could not pin it down. And it just, you know what, today's show really comes down to the bones of where I started from. I came back from vacation, and there's just so many realizations when you're gone for about 4 weeks, to 6 weeks. You get, and it's almost like I'm coming down the mountain, Dostoevsky or something, I'm not as smart as those people, but you get these realizations and you get these observations and things being separated from everything for so long, and a lot of things don't make sense. And a lot of things I look at that do make sense, we're not implementing into our lives. So today's show is how to escape the great struggle, and I think we're going to do a couple of these. So I don't even know where to begin. I have a bunch of notes and things that I wrote down when I was out camping, and I'm just going to kind of go through them today. But I think that we're really going to dig deep into what I feel. And a lot of these are just my own opinion, guys. This is just one guy's opinion, but I just can't help to look around me and to realize, to observe that I don't really know anybody around me who has the freedom to do some of the things that I do, a lot of the things that I do. And that's really what I want. I want for everybody here listening. And I realize one of the first things I'll start off with, well, before I do, the background noise, that's my vehicle. I just drove down from my tiny house. I have no privacy there, so I drove down. It's a hot day here in Sunnyside, California. And I've got the air conditioner on, and I'm parked with the motor on just to keep me from sweating all over myself. But I go above and beyond. I work with what I've got. And I think noticing how a lot of people are doing a lot of things they don't like to do is maybe the first place that I can start from. I just met some people on the road, coming back from 4 weeks from up north on the coastal regions, living out of my vehicle. I like to square that up. We met a lot of people. I've met some people when I came back here and had some conversations. That's kind of what spurred this show and the energy for it. And they're like, oh, that must be nice to go living in hotels, and like, what kind of resort did you stay in? It's what resort? Hotels? What are you talking about? I've simplified my life. I'm able to do things that I want to do. I'm not going out to Las Vegas and living in a hotel for a few weeks and gambling a bunch of money and doing things like that. I'm merely experiencing freedom in my life, but it comes from a different flavor, a different picture than what people would think. The reason I'm able to stay out for as long as I am and have the freedom in my life is that I've lived so simple. I've simplified my life. So we basically lived out of the vehicle. For those of you watching, this is my F-350 diesel pickup truck, and this is what we've lived in. We got some of the best foods on the planet. We barbecued every single day. We went wherever we wanted to. We spent a lot of time in nature. And as I said, met some really, really cool people. And one of the things to get back on track here as far as people doing things that they don't want to do, some of the people I've met, actually a lot of them, were very intrigued. They would ask me, well, how long you been here for? We basically were camping in the middle of nowhere, right? Guys, we didn't just free camping. Some of the last places on earth, my secret spots. And, I told them, well, we've been here for a week. And they're like, wow, a week? Yeah, it's about ready to go, go home. I says, no, I think we're going to stay here for another week, maybe even another week after that. And people would look and say, well, really? How are you able to do that? What kind of business do you do? What do you do for money? And what do you do with your life? And a lot of it is compiled. The things that I do might be the way I make my money, the way I live. It all attributes to freedom. And a lot of these people that I met were there for maybe a few days. and they traveled very far. It's a very beautiful destination, one of the spots that we stayed at. But what I saw and I witnessed in people was that, and they said it themselves, I wish I could do that. I have to go back to a job, I have to go back to my job or my business and keep things going, and I'm already nervous enough taking off, 2 days. I'm going to go see what's falling apart. And I noticed that these people are doing a lot of things that they don't like to do. They didn't seem happy to go back. They wanted to stay. They wanted to stay longer and I think rejuvenate themselves and live away from everything, to be able to forget everything more than just a few days. So I guess what I look at is how many jobs that people are doing right now. How many in our lifestyle designs, we're living in houses and driving fancy cars, having the nice fancy clothes, and we look the part, we act the part, we appear to be wealthy, we appear to be successful, but deep down inside, I think a lot of people know that they're frightened, for one, they're scared, but they're also weak and they're also empty. And then again, this is just my opinions. And the worst part is they think that they're stuck. I know one of the things I'm going to move forward with here is that I've realized on my trip that a lot of people aren't able to do what I do. And I think that a lot of people don't want to do the things that it takes to be able to do the things that I do. The lifestyle design. I think they want to keep up with the Joneses. I think that people want to appear to be successful, and they're after the money. And don't get me wrong, I'm not against money. For those of you who've been following me, you guys know that I think money is 100% what we need to do to survive, and in most cases, not all, but most cases, to actually be happy. Take the electricity away, away the ability to buy food and things like that. Give somebody just some rice and beans and have them live on that for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for just a few days. Do it for one day and let's just see how bad it gets. Let's take away their fucking cappuccino mocha latte, Excuse me, still getting over the COVID-19. So I noticed that I think that I've been barking up the wrong tree with the show, with the information, the way I live. I would say 50% of the information that I have on here of how to live free, I don't think it's very conducive. And I'm actually quite considering dropping the show entirely. I'm not sure at this point. Other than I want to be able to speak my message for my children when they get older. I would like to leave some sort of information for them to kind of take a look and say, well, what was he doing? How did he do those things? I remember when I was little, how we used to just travel, and we travel for long, lengthy times. This dry cough is killing me. I want to leave this information for them, and then possibly out there too for anybody else who's interested and wants to know, how can I refresh my life? How can I take my life back? How can I do the things that I want to fucking do? I don't want to be stuck. And that's the hopes I have for my children, is that they're going to grow up, they're going to get jobs, they're going to start paying taxes. Excuse me, I don't know how long this is going to go on this coughing. But they're going to live the life, they're going to follow the light, as I call this whole entire lifestyle design that we have in front of us. It's like a moth to the light. The light goes on, it's irresistible. There's Christmas lights, there's fucking fancy ass lights for all of the moths to come to. And what do moths do? They get to that light. They keep trying to get that unobtainium, right? They keep trying they're thinking that maybe it's the moon, and it lights their way. I can't remember off the top of my head right now why exactly the moths are attracted to a light, but I do know that an incandescent light bulb, or even a LED light bulb with no heat to it, the moth's going to bang itself. It's going to hit itself against that light over and over and over again until it drops dead. And I really look, and I think that for my children, they need to know that there's different ways out there. I just met somebody completely unlikely, a website designer that I'm working with for my construction business, getting everything back up to par. And I talked to him about a few of the kind of things that I talk about on the show, and we ended up talking for about an hour and a half. And that's actually what spurred a lot of this today. for the show is that I told him, I says, I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, about all these vaccination things and a lot of things going on in the world, but, I don't know how we ended up on topic, but he just blew up. And he said, it's so nice to be able to talk to somebody that doesn't think that I'm crazy, that I'm a complete fucking loon. I says, well, shit, everybody thinks I'm a fucking loon. So likewise, no. So I'm going to have to edit out all these coughs. So it was very interesting to sit down with this gentleman and listen to all the ideas and things and the fear that he had and the loneliness. And I think that that's another thing that happens with an alternative lifestyle design, which I've coined it, being so free. One of the things I seen, I think it's Danny Pena was saying, I can't remember which one of the real estate or money tycoons was saying it, but he says most rich people are actually lonely because there's not a lot of people that can do the things that they're able to do. On the opposite side of that spectrum, right? So basically these rich people are having a bad, day and they just want to get away. They can afford to just go, dude, I'm going to Cancun for 10 days. I'm just going to get away from everything. They're able to do that, but it's hard for them to find other people that are able on a flip of a dime, just go ahead and do that. On the flip side, we have people like myself who are not billionaires or millionaires. I'm a thousandaire. But I've designed my life with so much freedom and mobility in it. That was the same thing. When we took off on our trip, everything was wonderful, me and my two children. The only thing missing was somebody else. It was like we met a lot of people, and it would have been really nice to be able to have others around us who were able to camp, and go fishing and hiking and share the experiences with, instead of just the same old people, the three people, me and my two daughters. So I look for the future of the show as well for people who are lonely, people who are scared to speak out their voices, their ideas, and to really kind of notice that this is a fucking matrix that we're living in. This whole thing is backwards. People have got the internet. I wouldn't necessarily say the internet, but social media, the powers that be, the news channels and everything's got people so freaked out and has them thinking that this is the way life is. These are the things that's going on. And how many times do we need to witness that this is not the way life is meant to be lived? And these are a lot of the things that they're saying are happening aren't really happening, right? I'll give you guys some examples. They're saying that the hospitals were flooding, like overflowing in certain states and stuff. And I've seen people who grab videos and was like, I don't know what these people are talking about, but this place is empty. Not empty, but everything is fine and dandy. They're blowing things out of proportion. And I've heard this a lot of times, that we're just openly being fucking lied to by the news media and by media in general. And I think a lot of people don't know where to go, or maybe they're scared, as I said, to ask questions and to seek other things. I think a lot of people just aren't really aware that there's a different way of living. But I think a lot of people are scared to lose maybe possibly everything. And what would people think of me, if I lose my status, what would I do if I lost my Mercedes-Benz and I'd have to drive a Toyota Camry or something, And I think that it's a vicious circle and a vicious mindset where people are really stuck. And I think that it's hard for them to get out. I think that they don't know any better. So how do we escape the great struggle? How do we move forward and deal with all this unpredictability of these times that we have here? I think that what we need to do is we need to start focusing more on the things that we do have control over. A lot of things, most of life, I think, is unpredictable. I said on the last show here about Terence McKenna's control theory, where people are basically understanding. You don't know enough to be scared, as far as with the words of Terence McKenna says. We're driving a car worried the whole entire time that it's going to break down, yet we know nothing about how it works. All we know is that you push on the gas pedal and the brake, you got a turn signal, and a few little esoteric things here that we're able to understand, and that's about it. But as far as the car breaking down, we have no idea whether it's going to break down or not. So why the fuck are we sitting here stressing about that, right? I look at this with probably going to piss a lot of people off, but with global warming, there's a lot of scientific evidence of things where it was way warmer and way cooler. In fact, the trends, if you follow them, we're nowhere near what it was. We are warming up, but we're barely even moving on the scale. It's going to get warmer, right? But not as quickly as what maybe is being portrayed. Judging by past CO2 emissions and little gas bubbles stuck in the ice, things like that. The coronavirus, all of the things. We talked about that in the last show. A lot of people are worried about things that they have no idea about. As Terence McKenna says, we do not know enough to be concerned or to be scared, about many things. So what do? We start taking control of our lives. And I think the very first thing that we can do to make things a little bit more predictable is to just downgrade everything, downsize everything. So I just told you guys, I just left my house, my tiny home, to sit here in a parking lot with my vehicle running right next to a highway to get some privacy. I've downgraded. Do I like doing this? No, I don't like doing this one bit. I mean, I like doing the show, but it would sure be nice to be inside of an office with a chair and some air conditioning and a nice quiet room, very comfortable with a professional microphone and not be distracted. It would be really, really nice, but I don't have that yet. I haven't made the motions in my life to have that. I downgraded for a reason, so that I can live free, that I can get a bird's eye view. See, it's my perception and my opinion of all this in life, all the things going on right now here in 2021 is happening so fast, and there's things that are so basically ridiculous, too, in my opinion. But there's things happening so fast and so much of it that it's hard to get a grasp on anything. So a lot of us are very confused. A lot of us are worn out and tired. So the easiest thing to do is take the path of least resistance. But when you're not in the resistance, when you're not in the throes of things, when you have plenty of money in the bank and you have plenty of freedom, your overhead, you've downsized everything so far that you actually choose, like myself right now, to be able to say, you know what, maybe I'll just sit here for a week and do absolutely nothing. Maybe I'll just sit here and try to think of all the things that are happening and what makes sense to me. Maybe these are things that will change the course of the rest of my life. Maybe I can help other people. It's that time when you're able to sit down and get that bird's eye view, to be able to step out from the inner walls of the tornado that's happening right now, and at least step inside the eye for a minute, be able to look up and see some clear sky. That's the ability, that's the power of downsizing and downgrading everything so that you can have that. And I think that's the biggest problem with people right now, is that there's so much to do, there's so much to withhold. The BMW, the house. Is it going to kill you to live in an RV like I do? And into a tiny home? No. Is it irritating? Fuck yeah, it is. There's a lot of great things that can happen in a house. I can do a lot of different things. But I don't want to sacrifice my life and work doing something that I hate, or even doing something that I love the money from my construction business. But I don't want to work 6-7 days a week. I want to be able to take some time off, and I want to be able to think of things and see things, better my life. And how powerful is it that when you're able to step backwards and sit there and do nothing, the things that come to your mind. And you know what? I'm actually, to give you guys some personal information, I'm actually really kind of depressed right now. I'm lonely, was what I looked at. For the right type of people, for good conversation, for people who are doers. I'm depressed because of all the garbage and the things that I see on the side of the road, coming back from the forest and back into the city, and seeing plastic bags and bottles and shit all over the side of the freeway. Granted, driving through Los Angeles, but even North County here in San Diego, out in the country, there's still fucking trash. I'm sitting on the side of the road right now and I could see trash. It's a lot cleaner than Los Angeles and things, but just the dirtiness of people and the lack of vision. I don't know. That's just a little confession I thought that I would throw out here. And yeah, well, let's get back on track. Stop being a consumer. I've talked about this before, but I want to talk about it some more here. As I said, we're all sacrificing our time. We're spending our money. We go to make money, and all of it goes, not all of it, but the majority goes to keep the lights on, basically. Gas, food, electricity, and a lot of, status, I think, brand new clothes and things like that. We're consumers. And one of the most powerful things that I was just listening to a Joe Rogan and Graham Hancock video, and it was interesting. I'm going to try to remember to tie all this together here. That one of the theories that Hancock had on civilizations back about 12,000 years ago is they found a comet hole in Greenland now that the ice is melting. And what they found is the diameter, the size of this thing actually wiped out a lot of people on Earth. And at this time, 12,000 years ago, there was these great pyramids and things being built. Not the great Giza guys, whatever, the Egyptian pyramids, stuff beyond that, things that were older than that. And they kind of what they showed was that there were ancient civilizations that had high technology, very, very smart people. At the same time, there were Neanderthals, there was hunters and gatherers. So one of the interesting hypotheses that Graham Hancock came up with was the survivors who were this goes deep. There's a lot of information, but basically the people who were highly educated on how to build these great monuments and everything, only a few of them survived. But what was interesting is that in order for them to be able to survive, they had to group up with the hunter-gatherers. So what we had was a bunch of people who knew how to cut stones with precision and lift them in ways that we still don't understand. They were able to build these genius monuments and things, these pyramids out there. But yet they were specialized and they were compartmentalized, right? Meaning that they were able to do all those type of things. But they didn't know where the buffalo and the caribou, how they migrated, what their patterns were, how to actually utilize every part of that animal, how to actually start a fire maybe from scratch. I don't know, I'm making some stuff up here. But the point was that in order for them to survive, they had to follow along with the hunter-gatherers. So the hunter-gatherers is an equilibrium, I guess is what I wanted to say here, to where people who, like I look at it in our times right now, who claim that they're so fucking smart, right? They know how to make all this money, and they do. They do know how to make money, and I think they're destroying a lot of things while they're doing so. It's all about capitalism, which I'm not against capitalism either. I just think that things could be done a little more responsibly. But there are two things here, is that being compartmentalized and being specialized, being overeducated is what I've put in one of my podcasts, one of my shows there, meaning that you're so educated on how to make money and maybe how to build things, but you don't know the simple basics of survival. And without those things, if another comet hit, what would we do? Who would be the people who would be able to survive? Which brings me down to goods. What's interesting in the United States right now is the gross domestic GDP. There we go. Gross domestic products, meaning that what is the products that we are producing and then we're actually selling for business. We spoke about this before too, about the monetary system, where it used to be about producing goods and things like that. Those were the people who were making money. They produced vaccinations, nails, aluminum, a lot of these different things, and they were able to sell them here in the United States. Most things have now been contracted, subcontracted, or purchased with some sort of agreement overseas, where people are basically paying people nothing to work. So we basically don't produce anything. So that's one of the big problems that we have, is that we're becoming a renter's nation, meaning that a lot of the people who are capitalizing and making good money, not all of them, but a big, large majority, what's happening in the United States and I believe all over the world, is they're owning the land. So they're owning the land upon which people produce things. They're not interested in producing things. They just want to own that land. They want to own a lot of it and jack the prices up. So we can learn a lesson from this, I think. If we were on an island, and you had, $1 million, right? or you're in the desert or wherever in the mountains, let's just say the mountains. You're in the mountains and you had a kabillion fucking dollars sitting in a case, but the whole world got smashed up, dead. There's only you and maybe a few other people surviving. What would end up being somebody of wealth, somebody who has something, would be somebody who maybe has the skills to build a hut, right? Who's got trout that they're eating. They've got some fishing baskets and traps and things that they've set up. That money would be nothing. So there's an equilibrium, basically. I think I explained that point. There's an equilibrium that needs to happen. And I think that when I say a producer in your life, that's exactly what I mean, is that we have a couple choices here. Basically, I think it narrows down to two. Go make money and buy shit that other people make. Or start producing things yourself. Now, to produce 100% of your own shit, I think is completely ridiculous, especially us as individuals living life by ourselves. I don't think that that's possible. What I look at here, though, is an equilibrium. To get out of the compartmentalization of what a lot of us have done through public education and media and things like that, or so-called, watching your parents and things like that. Those days, a lot of that shit's over. Understand that there used to be factory workers, right? That was back in... I think a lot of adults don't understand this right now. These fucking kids don't want to work. You know how hard it's always been hard. No, it fucking has not. It hasn't been easy peasy, but back in the day, you show up and we were producing things, right? And people were able to make money. They were able to buy homes. A lot of people were happy. And once we hit into the 70s, as the currency and things, it's too hard to explain, I guess, taking away the gold from the dollar and separating the two, things just got worse and worse. You can look at all kinds of graphs. Life just got very, very tough. So the reason, what I look at is a lot of it is because we're dependent on the dollar to go buy shit from other people. How can we how can we escape the great struggle? And I just went grocery shopping this morning and I looked at, I think it must have been wrong. $3.99 a pound for carrots. $3.99, $4 a pound. Potatoes, $2 a pound. I think it was $7, $8 for organic potatoes for a 5-pound bag. The cost of living of everything is going up so fast and so hard. And I look at an equilibrium of us being able to produce our own food, a lot of our own things. I don't think we need to produce our own tennis shoes and things like that and clothes. I think that, as I said, I don't really have much hopes for the giant number of humanity, the majority. In fact, I think it's great. I think I should shut my fucking mouth. I think that I should just sit back, and you know what I'm doing? I'll go to the thrift store and buy a brand new pair of sneakers that were probably worn twice in the rich neighborhood at a Goodwill. I'll find brand new Dickie pants for like $4 when they sell for $40. Some of them still have the tag on because I'm not embarrassed. So there's a lot of things, basically, not to sound like too much of a dickhead here, is that the waste that we have going on around us can actually be utilized. We can actually buy shit for pennies on the fucking dollar as far as an investment goes. Is that really an investment? I've had Dickies pants for like a decade. I really like them when they get soft. There's no sponsors of the show or anything. I'm not, I don't have shit. I actually pay to do this show, but as far as an investment, those are, people would buy clothes over and over and over and over again, whereas I'll go in and spend maybe $40 and I have enough clothes for probably the next at least 5 years. Really good quality. In fact, they look nice. If I'm walking down the street and somebody else went and bought the latest pair of Dickies and we were both wearing Dickies and you looked at us, you'd say, I couldn't tell the difference, right? So in a way, we can actually make good things happen. We can actually get ahead. We can actually invest when we think about it that way. I don't wonder how much people spend on clothes. So stop being a consumer and get out of the compartmentalization and diversify yourself is the way I look at it, to get out of this mess that we're in. Let's move forward. And we were just talking about food, and it's just simple food production. I just talked about going to the grocery store. You guys know that you can buy a bottle of kombucha. For those of you who don't know, it's a fermented drink. It's got probiotics. It's got stuff to help your gut, to make you live a healthier life, which in turn makes you happy, which in turn will probably make you a little bit better, clearer thoughts and everything, because you feel good about yourself. Your body feels good. But kombucha, I spent about $2.99 on a glass bottle of unfiltered, raw kombucha. All I need to do, what am I going to do with this bottle? Why does it seem significant? Because I can take that bottle of kombucha and I can pour it inside of a jar. I can add some sugar and add some tea and some water, give it something to feed on. And what's going to happen is, I think it's called a Muscovy. What's going to happen from that little tiny bottle that I bought, I'm going to take that 12 ounces and I'm going to turn that into a gallon of heavy. I mean, probably what I'm going to do is turn it into 2.5 to 3 gallons of kombucha off that one little bottle. You can do this with yogurt. You can go buy yourself some yogurt, the natural yogurt, organic, I would recommend. That's got the live cultures in there, the good bacteria, I can't remember the name of it, Lactobacillus, something like that. Anyways, you can take this stuff and you can actually pour some milk. You can cook this stuff down. You can use a pressure cooker, I think it's done in. And one of the Instapot or the Ninja Foodie or something like that, they actually have a yogurt button. And you can actually perpetually make yogurts. You can perpetually make kombucha. You can have ice cold, nice fizzy, healthy drinks for yourself. You've got yogurts that you can mix with granola. You've got microgreens. Take yourself a small little, get some pallet wood or something. Make yourself a tray about 2 feet by 1 foot. Make it about a foot wide, 2 feet long. Make it about 4 inches thick. Go and layer yourself a whole bunch of potting mix. And what you're going to do is get yourself a pound of, say, sunflower seeds or any kind of microgreens, things that you like to eat. You're going to sprinkle these all over the top of that soil. This is my own invention here. You're probably not going to hear this anywhere else. You're going to go and get yourself some vermiculite or some perlite, and you're going to sprinkle it all over the top of the seeds until the seeds are almost perfectly covered. And what you're going to do is you're going to mist that in the morning with a hand mister, or if you want to really get technical like me, you can go get yourself an automatic water feeder that hooks up to a water hose, and basically hook up 2 little mister nozzles that throw like a fine mist, and set them on a timer so that they'll go off at 7 o'clock in the morning and at 7 o'clock in the evening. And you're going to put these things outside out of direct sunlight, put them in the shade, and what you're going to have is pounds of microgreens of what did I do? Peas are really, really good. You're going to wait till they get about 6-7 inches tall. Sunflower shoots. You could do this with beets. You could basically do microgreens with almost anything, right? Sprouts, same thing. You don't want to go through all that trouble. Get yourself a glass jar. Get yourself a rubber band and a strong paper towel or a cloth. And what you're going to do is you're going to put a bunch of seeds in there, and you're going to rinse them all off. You're going to soak them, and you're going to turn them upside down. You're going to soak them you'd have to look it up for yourself, but you basically let seeds soak for maybe 20 minutes. Turn the whole jar upside down. Let it drain. Just leave it there. Every day when you get home, turn on the faucet, rinse these seeds out, dump the jar upside down again with the cloth holding in the rubber band holding it together so everything drains out and it's able to get oxygen. And what's going to happen is maybe say a cup of sprouts is going to completely jam pack into 4 cups into a whole quart jar of sprouted seeds. We can perpetually make these things happen. At my garden spot to actually grow, to combat all this and to grow a lot of my own food for various reasons. I don't own land. People probably say, hey, you got to own land. I don't own the land. I exchange for equal value for value exchange on the land that I work, and I grow a lot of my own food. I've been growing a lot of seeds, a lot of different things. I have beets. I have arugula. I have tons, like just bags, probably like a pound of arugula seeds. Why is this significant? Because I can do many things. I can grow seedlings, I can trade with people, but I can also use those seeds, free seeds, to actually grow my microgreens. I haven't tried arugula microgreens yet, but I can only fucking imagine they've got to be just yummy. So it's thinking outside the box and simple food production ideas. I mean, I think we could even grow our own meats and stuff, chickens and quail and stuff like that. We find the right type of people and we create a community. This can go all over the place. My throat's really starting to get itchy, so I think I'm going to I'm going to call this one. But guys, we do not need to be living this way. We don't need to be living in fear. We're being fucking lied to. We're being, our mindsets are being transferred, I think, into something of what they want us to be. And there's many, many good things happening out there. Like I said, I don't think that very many people want to hear positivity and messages and the solutions. That's what I look at as it's a solution-based life. That's what I look at. What is the problem? What the fuck could I do about it? Instead of sitting here worrying, crying, and being completely depressed, and oppressed. And I think a lot of people, they want it. In fact, that's what they're doing. They're over getting more vaccinations. A lot of people don't even want to take off their mask when they're able to take off. They become comfortable. They've become familiar with it. And I think that their homes heated from at 72 degrees, whether it's wintertime or summertime. They never get out of their comfort zones. The newspaper's delivered to their front step, their front door, like it used to be, metaphorically speaking. You can just order stuff on Amazon, food comes to your house, whatever the fuck you want, it's all delivered. Everything is the same. Most things are predictable until now. And then we start to notice, I think, that how unhappy all of us are. And I don't want to get back on the negative note, but I just don't really see a lot of people getting into this sort of thing. I think they'd rather have the drama. Is another thing that I've observed. A lot of people are very, very well in love with the drama of life, and I think they actually appreciate and like the things that are going on because it gives them something different, something to talk about, something to argue about, instead of living together in harmony with each other, let alone with nature and ourselves, let alone being aware of yourself, being comfortable, being happy, to be able to lay in the grass and look at the clouds and actually smile, take a deep breath, and be happy to experience the exact moment that you're having right now. How many people could fucking do that? How many people even look at each other? That's been the crazy thing is taking off on my vacation, is that people out there are friendly. When you're out in the middle of the wilderness, there's nothing. There's no stores, there's no police, there's no fucking nothing, man. What you brought is what you got. And if something happens, you get hurt, you're about a good hour and a half drive out of there. And you're not flying, you're driving 10 miles per hour. There's respect. And there's dignity. And real fucking people, man, I guess I want to say. I don't really fucking care anymore. I really don't fucking give a shit about all this fucking, to appease, to please everybody, about all the likes and subscribers and shit like that. I think I'm not even going to fucking say that shit anymore. What does intrigue me, though, is a community of these people that, like I've met on the road, getting closer to the city. When you wave at people, they don't even look at each other. Everybody's scared of each other. But creating a place for my children first, and I think for anybody else who hears this type of message and wants to communicate, who wants to get together, who likes to hear these sort of things. So, I don't know. We're not, the YouTube is not really going anywhere, I think. I really, like I says, I don't know what to say about all of this shit, other than it's a lot of work and it costs me a lot of money to make these shows, and I really think we're barking up the wrong tree here. I don't think people really give a fuck. And you know what? I have an entire life to fucking live. I thought that I would share it, and I'll probably continue to share it. I don't think we're going to do 5 days a week anymore. I says I've got a lot of mental shit that I've got to get right in my fucking head, and planning and things. And I really don't need to be here at all, really. I want to be here, and I think that I am lonely, and I want to meet some like-minded type of people, and I'm hoping that they're out there. I feel like fucking, what is that movie, I Am Legend, what's his name, Will Smith out there, every single day on the dock. If there's anybody out there, anybody alive, any real people who have humaned up, right, not cowboyed up, woman up, man up or nothing, some real humans out there that have the decency in their heart to actually do what's right because they know it's right, because it feels good, who have the fucking balls to ask fucking questions or maybe seek out different things and not follow the fucking herd, not have to be part of the rat race if they're out there. So that's the rant. That's the show. I know it was disorganized, but, like I says, it's very difficult. I'm going to keep on with my message as much as I can. I'm going to go out to the fucking beach, and I'm going to do some jogging. I'm going to do some thinking. I'm going to do some planning and some more life designing. And I'm going to enjoy myself, I think, for the next couple weeks. I don't think I'm going to kill myself now that I'm back on vacation. And, I don't know. It's just a very disturbing, just ugly when you look around. And I think that this beauty that can be found with the right type of people. And, well, I need to help people, I guess, a lot more than just rambling off. But I really think that these words that are coming out of my fucking mouth is it's truth, my truth anyways. And I can't help to see that there's a better way of doing things. And I think that I want to start helping people a lot more, maybe coming up with more ways. I just don't know how to help people. I don't know what people want. I've been asking for people to respond and to comment, but it sounds like nobody really wants to comment, and maybe everybody's so busy doing their things, or maybe they're just not fucking interested. Maybe this information sucks. So if it does, so be it. I can go back to my own life. But really, like I said, for my children, I hope that if they get pissed off and they feel like there's no escape, and they have the advantage, I think, than most of other people that I know, because they've had the experience of being able to leave for weeks at a time and be able to experience actual time with dad, with their father for days. Even when we're not on vacation, we're able to do things. And I think they're going to slowly realize that a lot of people don't have that kind of feelings. They don't have that type of connection, I would say. And the mindset, the openness to experience, to be able to, as a child and as an adult, to be able to walk through places like the Enchanted Forest where we were at, which is really cool. It burned down, and it's these redwood trees, and they look like candelabras and elephants and dinosaurs and dragons and shit. Like the whole forest is all mixed. It came back to life, years later. And there's just beautiful things, walking down to Glass Beach and finding polished glass, and Jade Beach, finding big chunks of jade just sitting on the ocean, giant tide pools with octopus in them, and just cool stuff. Sorry about all the coughing. I'm getting over, like I said, the COVID. But I'm going to go relax. I'm going to go brew me up some kombucha, actually. And I don't know, man. I hope that there's other people out there. I guess I'll do this message as much as I can and try to say put what I deem is out there that might be useful to them, and just go from there. So, guys, that's the show. I'm not going to ask for subscribers anymore. It says, fuck all that. You guys, if you guys want the show, you guys know where to find it. Follow it. It's the Up and In It. And, I don't think I'm going to start working so hard. I used to say that this is on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook and all that kind of shit. I don't think I'm going to do that anymore. Maybe when I feel like it. But what I might do, if I run out of time, as you guys maybe understand, I got to pay lots of money to have this podcast show. In order for it to be broadcasted out there, I have to pay money, and I only allotted a certain amount of time. So what I might do is I may cut these shows short and actually do a longer extended version on Facebook. There's a Facebook group called Up and In It, and it's private. That's where I wanted to kind of build community, so I may do extra stuff on there. Pretty much the way it works out, well, I guess you guys don't need to know this, but 15 minutes, if I do it 5 days a week, is the best time that I have allotted. But guys, all right, that's the show. Up and In It. Do what you will. Do what the fuck you want. Just know this, though, I will leave you. There is, as I said, a whole different way of life, a whole different way of living. This is not fucking the way life's meant to be lived. Everybody doesn't need to be compartmentalized. You can open yourself, you can free yourself, and you can start thinking. And I think that's what I want to design. I know a lot of people would say, well, how do I get there? What do I do? I think a lot of you wouldn't like the fucking answer. I think a lot of you would love the lifestyle, though. And it's not a lot of work. It's initially a lot of work. But once you get free, and I guarantee you it's addictive, you're not going back. You'll be in the same boat, same side of the fence, in the pasture with me, in the forest, in the jungle, in the desert, in the open land, with the animals, and with yourself. And you ain't going to want to go back into your cage, I guarantee you. So that's it. Don't lose your muchness. Carry on the fire. Human up. Live it, love it, own it, and bone it, my friends.